Hello, welcome to my junk box of yesteryear. This is all bits and pieces I've saved over time and things I like to generally play with. But it's all pretty much old hat now. Take this old time switch for instance. Let's see if I can zoom into that. Tilt down a bit. That'll do. Perhaps best to move that in. Back a bit perhaps, the other way. That'll do. It's made by Horstman. What does it say without the glass? Let's have a look. Bath, England. It's a 30 amp time switch. 240 volt working. Very sadly it's got a cracked face, but beautifully made. They don't make things like this anymore. I've got an even older one than this running my central heating. I had a young plumber bloke call the other day and I showed him that and he laughed his head off. Blimey mate, he said that come out the blinking arc. I says, well, it might have come out the arc, I said, but it's still running, still working. He says, yeah, but blimey, he says, nowadays, he says, they're half that blinking size, he says, and you can program them months ahead. He says, you can run your heating nowadays from your mobile phone, mate. He says, that's progress for you. So I said, well, yeah, I dare say. I said, in your course of work, how many pumps and how many time switches do you reckon you change in the course of a year or so? Oh, hundreds and hundreds. I says, how many of them you changed? Oh, we don't come across them. I don't think he quite got the point. I think this is beautiful. That cap lifts up, this drops down, and you can start your stop times. And look at this, this pulls out. And the whole thing pulls off. This is fixed to the wall and that pulls out. Beautifully made. Synchronous motor, fused and so forth. I mean, that is absolutely beautiful. 30 amp switching. Come out the arc, mate. Come out the arc. Well, they knew how to build things. Nor certainly knew how to build things. Here's another time switch I've pulled down from the shelf. Been up there a little while. It's actually a delay switch. Again, beautifully made. They don't make these anymore. Lundex London SE20. 230 volt. 5 amp rating this one. Take that off. Look at this mechanism. See if I can zoom into that. They don't make that anymore, do they? This is all Bakelite. The case is steel, not plastic. And we have here two early micro switches, a solenoid which pulls this dog clutch that way into this gearbox driven by this synchronous motor, and it's a 5-minute delay. I'll connect it up. Okay, I've connected the mains into it and I'll switch on. The solenoid will pull the dog clutch in, start the motor, sends a feed to the motor and sends these arms going round for 5 minutes. I'm switching on now and you can see the motor going round. The dog clutch is engaged. If I lower that down, these are slowly going around and will come round on top of these switches. That is absolutely superb. these little arms are adjusting. One can be switched just fractionally before the other, and I'll explain why that is in just a moment. But rather than wait 5 minutes for that to go round, I'll fast forward the video. Okay. As you can probably see, the arms have come round and they'll activate these switches. One switch is just before the other one, which is just what's happened. And you'll see that the dog clutch is disengaged, throwing this outwards, so it's now underneath these arms, ready to do another cycle. How about that for being really clever? I think this is brilliant. This is on par, as far as I'm concerned, to art, to sculpture, to a painting. It actually does something, and it was designed to do something, and it does it beautifully. I really get enthusiastic about things like this. Anything that's electromechanical is, I always find interesting. Here's this made by Radio Spares. Temperon Limited. This is a timer. This is a much more modern arrangement. It's a plug-in octal type of arrangement. But there's obviously a timer IC, and you can control it here, how many minutes. And this eventually, although it's electronics, so-called, or discrete components, it ends up switching a small relay. This is far more modern, of course, but in its way it has a bit of a charm as far as I'm concerned. I've several of these things. Oh, this one's 24 volts DC. Oh, that's quite interesting. But we're coming up in much earlier, but of course the same thing nowadays is a little tiny black blob with 3 wires sticking out of it. We know it's progress, but it doesn't have the same appeal to me. How about this for a delay arrangement? This is an atmospheric switch. What voltage is this? I haven't got my glass, let's have a look. It's rubbed off, I suspect it's quite low. It works, micro switches again, it's a solenoid, and at this end we have a diaphragm. It's an atmospheric switch, and this energizes, and there's a delay. May not look it, but there's a delay there, depending on how fast we let the air out with this adjustment. Now, I mean, that's quite ingenious, and that's beautifully made. Again, I love anything electrical, mechanical like this. A friend of mine used to work at an arcade, where amusement arcade, yeah, on the end of the pier thing, and all his work is of this sort of era, and I love anything like that. I've actually employed this timer device on my largest spot welder, and some of the others people have made the spot welder, and they've put 555 timers in and so forth. Somehow it just hasn't got the appeal to me, but well, I'm not going to change now. What else we've got here? Look at that for a switch. Isn't that a cracker? Well, if you think that's good, how about that one? By Jove, let's see if we can... I'll probably never be able to turn this. What on earth was that used for? Something quite hefty, judging by these connections. Can you see that being employed today? Oh, I have a host of all this stuff. Another form of relay. I've got millions of relays. Masses and masses of that size. What the heck I'm going to do with them, I've no idea. Another atmospheric switch. Listen. Hear the delay? Superb. Oh, loads and loads of things here. How about that for a fuse? What is it? It's a doorman. Oh, it's only 200 amps. But at what voltage, I wonder? That's porcelain. Beautiful. Oh, there's a wealth of stuff in here. God blimey. Not all old stuff. That's a modern atmospheric switch, or to be precise, pressure switch. These come out of washing machines. The hose goes on there, and when the water level rises it moves diaphragm, and I've mentioned these before. You hear that? I'm blowing down the end, and that's that size of hole. I've used one of these as a backup for my bilge pump on my boat. And there's another one. It's an industrial one. I'll blow on this one. Hear the delay? And that's through that little tiny hole there. Can you see it? Just. Not sure what these are rated at, but they're very interesting. And I've just come across, this is a solenoid. The video don't tell you what weight this is, but I've just had a brilliant thought what I'm going to do with that. That's going to be another video. What's poor old chap up to now? You'll have to wait and see.